All right, buddy, we're back with our first Cabral HouseCall of the weekend. I appreciate you, as always, for joining me in the community here to answer all things wellness, weight loss, anti-aging, high performance health, weight gain, whatever you're looking to do. There is an underlying root cause as to why you're not able to achieve it or haven't yet. And of course, how we can help you do that. That's ultimately the goal. Your goals are my goals. So feel free to write in with your question at stephencabral.com/askcabral. All right, let's dive right in now. First question is from Sheena. Sheena says, "Hi, Dr. C. Hope you and your team are well. I'm a 45-year-old currently on low-dose birth control pill to help control the severe perimenopause symptoms I was experiencing. It has really helped, which I'm thankful for. Obviously, I know I can't be on it forever, but the thought of going off and going through all the symptoms is so scary to me. I also know being on the birth control pill will mask when I'm actually in menopause. Do you have a suggestion as to find out? Is it possible to figure out while on the pill? As instructed by my endocrinologist, I take the pill for 42 days straight, stop for 4 days, and start again. Could I test my FSH during that 4?" I think that was your whole question. I hope it wasn't cut off, but I get what you're saying. So Sheena, happy to help. So there is actually a lab, and FSH is great to test, no doubt about it. We test that, right? We're looking at that 25 or, but my other big one is anti-Mullerian hormone, sometimes just written as AMH, like FSH is written, right? So that is called the Menopause and Fertility Test. You can run that right at home over at Equilife, or again, run it with your IHP, your Integrative Health Practitioner. You're welcome to work with anybody. I just try to make things easy. Literally, I said to myself when I was creating my practice many, many years ago that I want to create a practice that I wish I had when it took me 10 years to figure out how to get well. So you can do all these things right from home. You can do it while you're on the birth control pill. And again, you can just run the menopause and fertility test. It comes with a lab consult and also can help you transition off of the pill when you decide. So that's up to you. Again, just have to give my disclaimer now. Can't provide any medical advice, medical treatments, medical cures, medical diagnosis. But for anyone in perimenopause, you can actually see how close you are to menopause. And now it takes out all the guesswork, right? Because too many people have been told, too many women have been told they're close to menopause where they're really not, right? They're honestly not, or they're saying they're in perimenopause. Doctors saying, oh, because you have these symptoms, you're in perimenopause at 37 years old. The likelihood is so low. It honestly is. You do have most likely cortisol imbalances, thyroid imbalances, estrogen dominance, etc. So it feels like perimenopause. I'm not saying that. You could feel like you're in perimenopause when you're in 20s. You could feel like you're in perimenopause as a 18-year-old kid like I was, honestly, and like, all joking aside, but it's true. I had night sweats at night. I sweat during class in high school, my senior year, just go flushed and just start profusely sweating, right? My hormones were a mess. Why? I had Addisons disease. I had a lot of other health issues. So, all joking aside, we can help you figure this out and we'd be happy to. That's our goal. All right. So again, just call the Menopause and Fertility Test over at stephencabral.com/shop. That takes you over to Equilife. Or again, use it with your practitioner. Anonymous is up next. Hi, Dr. Cabral. I'm hoping you can help me. I keep hearing people say organic doesn't really matter because they're still able to spray the produce with some level of herbicides. Can you help me understand what they could be talking about and confirm that organic is definitely better or worth the cost? Thanks for all you do. Okay, happy to help. So here it is. When you use organic, you are not allowed to use synthetic herbicides, pesticides, etc. You're not. Can you use organic-based matter, such as a copper-based spray or others? Yes, you can. So my goal is for people to wash all produce, but it's so much less when you use organic. There are no synthetic-based sprays. You can't spray glyphosate, so none of that is true. And organic is also testing the soil. So your soil actually has more nutrients in it. And if the soil has more nutrients, because all the bacteria hasn't been killed in the soil, it allows there to be more nutrients in your food. So I'm a huge proponent of purchasing organic, but for those people that can't purchase all organic, I get it. It's more expensive. So look at the Clean 15 and Dirty Dozen. For the Dirty Dozen, purchase those organic. For the Clean 15, you can eat them non-organic. All right. Another way to look at it is if you can peel it like a banana, you can go with non-organic if you want. My goal, though, is also you want the nutrients, the micronutrients The macronutrients will always be the same: carbs, protein, fats, in organic or non-organic, but the organic can have more micronutrients. All right, great question though. Sierra's up next. Hello, Dr. Brawl. My father and 4 of his kids have chronically low alkaline phosphatases. We have tried supplementing with zinc and magnesium, vitamin C, DNS, omega, etc. for years without any improvement. We're leaning into thinking it's a genetic issue called hypophosphatasia. My father has had significant blood calcification, bow-legged, bad teeth. Do you have any knowledge of genetically low alkaline phosphatase and how to increase our levels or adjust nutrients to help offset issues from low levels of alkaline phos? We do live fairly healthy, active lives. We do quarterly detoxes. We work to empty our rain barrel. But is there any other advice you can give us? We would love to figure out how to navigate this. Thanks for all you do. Daybreak and be able to tell. Hope this makes sense. Looking forward to your suggestion. I don't know exactly what that last line means, but I get it overall, what you're asking. And yes, I'm happy to help with this, of course. So I want a lot of people, when you're looking at alkaline phosphatase, sometimes it's written on your labs as ALP, not to be confused with AST, right? One of your liver-based hormones, or ALT. This is ALP. Alkaline phosphatase is probably a great proxy for overall bone health and keeping the calcium in the bones and the teeth strong and out of the tissues, right? You said that your dad might be having issues with that. Well, alkaline phosphatase, don't look at it as a nutrient, but more of an enzyme, right? And zinc is the cofactor that a lot of people are low in. But as you wrote previously, yeah, it can actually be much more than zinc alone. You want to look at magnesium and vitamin C, which you already mentioned, but you didn't mention vitamin D3 and K2. You want to be careful with too much vitamin D3 if there is a genetic component where that enzyme isn't able to properly keep that calcium in the bones. And you also want to be careful with taking in calcium-based supplements. The last thing you want to be careful with is taking in too much vitamin B6. So typically not more than 50 to 100 milligrams a day of vitamin B6, and you can run the Candida metabolic and vitamins test to look at your B6 levels. So that is that. Yes, there is a genetic enzyme insufficiency oftentimes. You can equate it to something like MTHFR, where you're still getting some, but with MTHFR, if you're heterozygous, maybe you're converting 30 to 40% of folate. And if you're homozygous, you are converting maybe only 30%, right? So like converting 70% with heterozygous and about 30% with a homozygous. So that means you have 2 copies, right? If it's homozygous. So that's the way that you want to look at it. Just make sure, again, you're using some D3 and K2, but K2 is probably more important to make sure we're driving the calcium back into the bones. And then we do a little bit of strength training. We do some good cardio to make sure, again, that it's getting back there. So as long as it's not overly low, again, we like to keep it at 50 or above, but if you're above 40, you're probably doing well. All right, so hopefully that's helpful. Again, if you ever need more help, write back in at stephencabral.com/askcabral. I want to be there to help. All right, Sierra is up next. Sierra says, hello, Dr. Brawl. My father and, well, I just read that one. Apologies, Sierra. That's my fault. We are now on to Adam. Adam says, hello, I've noticed during the winter months, I get more symptoms, especially thyroid-related issues, dry skin, cold extremities. During the summer, these are substantially less pronounced. I ran the stress immune metabolism test during February. My TSH was 2.5, free teeth was 3 to 3.8. Oh, free T3 was 3.8, and T4 was 1.5. Normal cortisol all day, low DHEAS, but are there any specific interventions I can do during the winter months to support my body? Warmer, denser foods, different types of exercises, certain supplements, etc. Thank you. Yeah, and this is a big part of where Ayurveda comes in, right? So love running the Integrative Health at-home lab tests, absolutely all about it. Your TSH is a little above where we want it to be, above the 2, but your T3 looks excellent, right? It really does. And so I'm wondering maybe if your reverse T3, which is really hard to test and really expensive, is a little elevated as well. So I recommend probably getting in your detoxes, maybe like right around New Year's, and then you can do it then later in the spring, like in end of March. And I would say sauna could be a really great one for you as well, heating up the body, especially if you're feeling cold. So in Ayurveda, what are we looking to do? We're looking to essentially pacify the cold, which would be like the vata, right? Cold, dry is very vata based. And so what we want to do is if you make a smoothie, well, you might have it along, you let it warm up a little bit, 20, 30 minutes, and you have it along with some warm oatmeal, right? Or maybe you put a little ginger in that smoothie, a little cayenne, which is very heating. Or you don't do any smoothie at all during the winter. Maybe you put your daily nutritional support inside and mix it up into oatmeal. Or you don't do that either and you just take a activated multi and cook whatever breakfast you want. But you don't want to skip that breakfast, right? Because you probably want to pacify the higher levels that stress can bring on during the winter. Believe it or not, and I actually did a podcast on this, stress levels on the body can be higher in the winter because of the cold. Cold is an immune stressor. It's a bodily stressor. And you can actually see it with the Oura Ring or other devices where heart rate variability can go down a little bit in the winter because of the coldness. Now, again, if you're in a warm house, it's great, but still it's colder, right? It could be drafty, like especially when I lived in Boston in condos, the floor was cold, wasn't quite the same. And that is why for you, a daily or 5 times a week, 20-minute sauna, 30-minute sauna, especially earlier in the day, could go a long way. And then you can do your exercise later in the afternoon if you wanted to. That's where I would start. Yeah, a warm cup of ginger tea throughout the day. Any of those things can be very warming and nourishing for the body. And if you need to, for the thyroid, maybe you only give yourself a little thyroid support if needed. Maybe it's even just 2 capsules instead of 4 capsules a day, 2 in the morning with breakfast to give your body that little bit of a boost. Or maybe just during the winter time, you're using just 5 milligrams of DHEA at breakfast and 5 at dinner. So there's lots of different things you can do. I don't have, any of your lab information in front of me or anything more than these 5 lines, but hopefully that gets you started. All right, Desiree is up next. Last question of the day. Hi, Dr. Cabral. My husband and I are planning to start trying for a baby this June. We are prepping starting now with 3 weeks of a functional medicine detox, followed by the heavy metal and parasite detoxes. I will follow that with 3 months of prenatal vitamins. Are there any male-specific supplements that improve sperm health and male fertility, like prenatal supplements, but for men? Thanks. Great question. And men's fertility gets way overlooked. And so you're both doing the right thing. Prep with parasite detox if you want first, the parasupport protocol. And then after that, if you want to do the heavy metal, fantastic. But definitely the detox is what starts it off, the 21-day for sure. You want to empty that rain barrel. So yeah, all of that is great. For men, if you're going to do a sauna and you're looking to improve fertility, there are many men who sit on an ice pack in the sauna to improve sperm quality or don't allow the sperm degradation if they are doing sauna. So that can be helpful. They might do less time on the bike as well because that can create some inflammation. So that's one. But again, if you're only doing the bike once a week or twice a week, really no big deal. It's just long-term cycling that can be an issue. And then for men, as I talk about in my new book, Personomics, if you only use 3 nutritional supplements, it's always the daily nutritional support or the daily activated multi, because it's essentially 12 supplements in one. Then after that, it's the daily omega-3s, 2 soft gels at dinner. You can use them really anytime, but we do them at dinner. And then there's the vitamin D3. And most people need about 4,000 to 5,000 IUs a day. And that's about 100 to 125 micrograms in the new system of measurement. For men, they would use a product called Daily Male Support. And they would use that 12 weeks before trying to conceive as well, just like you're going to be using the prenatal supplements 12 weeks before. Although in my opinion, you should be using the top 3 every day, which is the daily nutritional support, the daily omegas, and the vitamin D3 ongoing. That's for every human. And then you'll add in, what do you need? Just the extra 500 milligrams of methylfolate, and there you have your prenatal. It's all done, right? So straightforward. Hopefully that was helpful, and I will be back tomorrow answering more of our Cabral House calls. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate you. Talk with you tomorrow.